Hi, beautiful people. It's Grace.
Hi guys, it's Loraya. Nice to see you.
So today we're going to talk about that gut feeling, otherwise known as intuition, and why it's so important to trust it and listen to it. Um, we've had all of our own experiences of our gut feelings telling us, I should have listened to that gut feeling, but you didn't. You chose to do another thing and go an alternative way. And when you look in hindsight, you're just like, oh, my gut was telling me something. Intuition. And today we want to talk about that because that is so important to tap into for your life, to give you guidance. So, yeah.
Oh, I agree with you. I think that what makes it interesting with intuition, sometimes people ignore it, I think, because it surpasses logic. But logic is one of those things that if you're into like percentages and calculated risks, as I like to call them, I feel like logic is a 50% right. You always have a 50-50 right with logic, only because it's also based on perception and perspective and how you decipher something. Because two people can have opposing opinions, and yet they both be right. And that's what's interesting about having your intuition, because it's just a knowing. It's just a higher form of intelligence. It surpasses everything, that consciousness. And it's it's one of those things that everyone has it, but just like anything else, like when you hear sounds outside, things that become normal to you, natural, that you don't have to decipher, our minds can tune things out. And I feel like a lot of times you have two options with your intuition. You can turn up the volume or you can turn down the volume. And that's what happens when people ignore um, that inner voice. And it becomes a habit. Just like if you listen to it more, it becomes louder. And I think that's something that a lot of people don't take into consideration. But at least from my experiences, and maybe Grace, you've had some maybe similar or opposing, but I've noticed that I've actually practiced and worked with my intuition, and it's just become stronger and stronger, and it's helped me in so many things. But it's not logical. Where decisions I've made, places I've gone, I can't say that it came from my mind, a thought. It came from an instinct inside, and it always ended up being right, and it always was something positive. So I realized that your intuition works for you, not against you. And when we ignore it, we're going against ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah, I completely agree with that. I um I actually believe that your intuition is your soul, your guide for your soul. It's to guide you, your spirit guide throughout this lifetime, to help you, keep you safe. It's to guide you through things like what is right or how to deal with certain situations. In many times of my life, I have experienced my intuition speaking to me very loudly, and sometimes I've chosen to ignore it, and sometimes I've chosen to listen to it. Every single time I've decided to listen to it, it has been my savior. And it can be from small decisions to big monumental things that I needed to have guidance for. But I actually do believe that it's there to protect you, to serve you, and to guide you through this life. I know, I don't know, we might share some of our experiences of intuition. I think that might be a good way of like kind of putting it into context of small things and large things. So Ray, what's been a pinnacle part of your life where intuition has played an important part?
Okay, an example. One thing that happened to me with intuition, I felt like it was my gut feeling. It surpassed logic. It was when I started my clothing brand, which has been one of the biggest blessings for my life, because it's brought me so many more things than just clothing. It's brought me to the center of what I'm to do. It was just a gateway to get there. Um, that was something I had not thought to do streetwear. It wasn't something that I had even found interest in specifically when I was designing. I was into more like formal couture gowns. But long story short, I would do um, intuitive drawings. That was a way for me to meditate, channel. I would draw images, would come out of this intuitive drawing that I would do. And one day I was drawing, and I had drawn a mermaid with a t-shirt on. And it was so weird because the moment I finished the drawing, I didn't know what it was going to be. I was just allowing the universe to speak and channel through me. Once I finished drawing the mermaid in a t-shirt, my brand, the word Appletown, came up. It was a pole. I look up the root word. It's really interesting. I looked up the root word of it, and it was about a Greek philosopher who developed the story of the love affair between Psyche and Cupid, which is
the what? Sorry, the love.
sorry. Developed the. Sorry, I have to cough. Sorry, guys, it's really live. Um, he developed the story of Psyche and Cupid, which metaphorically represents love and logic. Which my favorite Tupac quote is "Fall in love, but take your head with you." Follow your heart, but take
I
your head
love
with
that.
you.
Oh, I
Follow your
miss
heart.
Tupac.
Yeah, follow your heart, but take your head with you. And that was something that, again, it represented me. It was one of those situations I was channeling something. It represented me because I was a Libra. I'm all about balance, and the name of my brand represented balance. But at that moment, the universe had told me, uh, design, create, put mermaids on shirts. And again, that was not logical to say, I'm just going to do this off of a whim. But I felt so strongly about it. Within 7 months, I was in Greece, where the entire brand, life had literally turned around within that moment. And it made me realize like that was a situation that, again, had I not listened to myself and not it was more of a trust thing. If I had not trusted my own power and my own channeling and my own knowing, then I wouldn't be. I mean, knowing you and I met because I designed clothes. The person that we met through Malik wanted us to collaborate. I mean, it's brought me so many beautiful things that it wasn't about the clothing. It was about staying aligned and the universe, the all knowing, knowing that this was the road I would take, and it would still lead me to where I needed to be. But I had to trust that even though I can't see it, that it was working for me at all times.
Yeah,
And I
and
think
that's
that's so
what it
important.
is. That's what intuition is. That's my take on intuition, that it's your spirit guide through this lifetime. You just have to trust it. And it's hard to trust something that doesn't exist in its physical self, because it is blind faith. It's just going with your feeling and allowing yourself to surrender, to understand that actually it's a higher form of intelligence that you just have to just trust, and it will guide you no matter what, to the right thing or wrong thing. Or I mean, always the outcome will be right, but it will take you through the motions of what you need to go through in order to see the outcome, whether it's a good situation or a bad situation.
You're so right. And it's funny what I always tell people when they try and get to the idea of understanding that intuition really is real and how it can be tangible. I always tell people the the best example of knowing that there's something guiding and leading is when you go to the ocean and you watch how the water redirects, and you're watching wind and unseen force working with all that is. And that's interesting because that's where I pray, because I find that that's the place I can really comprehend what's being orchestrated in life. And that just watching the presence of this unseen force hover over the water will give you a more tangible understanding that that's how things work
Well,
all over
it's funny.
the
It's
world,
funny
you
that
know?
you. Well, it's funny that you use that kind of analogy, because or analogy in terms of the environmental forces around you. You know, we don't know how life works, like the cycle of life, right? It's so profound and intricately woven, and that each little thing works together in unison and alignment with one another. But I think most people will find the same experience or same feeling that you feel when you are immersed in nature. You know, you are able to see that the universe is working in complete alignment, and that your intuition comes into play with your alignment of where you need to be. So it is like really sitting still, allowing yourself to see and feel what it is that you're feeling. My biggest one of my biggest intuitive moments, which I'll share with you, is it saved my life and it saved my son's life. And So I have a little son who has got special needs. He's got cerebral palsy, and one of the things that happened to me, well, the most significant intuition kind of guidance that happened to me was that I knew something wasn't right just before he was born, and there was nothing physical that happened to me. I just had a feeling, and I trusted that feeling, and I took myself to the hospital and I said, look, I don't feel very good. I don't know why. Something's not quite right. And if I hadn't have done that at that time, I wouldn't be here today and he wouldn't be here today. So, you know, I don't have to go into the whole drama of it. You can imagine it was very dramatic. And had I not done that, I wouldn't be here today. And that was me really listening to my intuition. Because even the doctors were saying, oh, there's nothing wrong, everything is fine. And I said, no, there isn't. Something is not right. And, you know, I ended up collapsing and having an emergency cesarean and all sorts of things. And but, you know, that is a heightened sense. And that was a life and death situation where my intuition was like, you need to listen right now. This is what is happening, and if you do not, this is the end, you know. And that's one big experience of my intuition working for me. But there's been many times where I've got myself into a situation and I've trusted that the situation doesn't feel right, and so I have been able to step out of that situation and just in time. So, you know, it's profound, and it's you know, it's not a tangible, rational at times, you know, situation that you might be in, and you might just be like, oh, but everything's fine around me. Just trust your intuition, your gut feeling, because it is there to protect you and serve you in alignment with your life.
Absolutely, I agree. I don't move without being given some type of indication from my intuition. So I agree with you. It's helped save my life as well on so many different occasions. Just timing, you know? So it's so important, I think, that a lot of people would feel less lost in this world and all that's going on if they had something to focus on, had something to allow to work with them as they exist in this world. So I agree with you on every level. Intuition, your gut feeling, whatever you want to call it, that higher self, that consciousness, your God thought, whatever you call it. I definitely believe that it's real, it exists, and it's there to assist you. So don't ignore it, and, you know, just be more mindful of it.
Yeah, I think that's the key, is like how because it is blind faith, so a lot of people don't know exactly how to trust it because there's nothing there, you know, it's just a feeling. So it's like, how do you tap into it more? How do you become aware of it? And I think that how you become aware of it, a skill that I developed was to sit still. And in our lives, especially in our day and age today, it is so hard for people to sit still. But you need space. You need to reflect. You need to sit still. You need to listen to yourself, because, you know, your whole entire body, just when you feel sick and your stomach tells you that, right? That's a physical feeling. The stomach tells you, oh my God, I feel sick, I'm bloated or whatever. Your intuition will tell you when things are not right, but it's a matter of actually listening to it and allowing the space for it to come to you.
Yes, and I think that also what helps. I always when I focus on it, I tell myself, because sometimes I need verbal affirmations to have a better centeredness. I always ask ask to have my soul get into a state of non-resistance. I always ask for non-resistance, and I also when I'm thinking about my intuition and I'm thinking about meditating and being clear, I also ask my spirit, my soul, my mind to quiet all the noise. So not just sitting, but sitting in the quietness of the world. You know, sometimes it's okay to turn off your phones. It's okay to get to a place of stillness and oneness, because things do come to you in that place. So I always ask for the act of non-resistance and stillness and quieting my world, quieting the noise. And that's the most important, because when you get to a place where you master quieting the noise, when you are in it, you won't get caught up in it. You'll be able to still be on both ends where you can hear it, but you're not so focused on it. You can still keep quietness in a room of chaos, you know? That's where we all strive to get to, especially, you know, in meditation and quietness, not doing it just necessarily when you're in a quiet environment, but taking yourself in chaos and being able to be still and not affected by the energies around you.
Yeah, there's a saying that might be helpful for people that I say to myself, which is, I always have to think about actually drowning out the noise so I can hear myself more. That is, drowning out the noise so I can hear myself more, so that there's no other noise around me and I can really go into myself and be mindful of what I'm feeling and how my body and how my spirit and how my soul and how everything is feeling, so that I can really tap in and be more heightened with my intuition. So that's a skill that I have always worked on, to surrender, to allow myself to be. And without, like you're saying, I use the term surrender, you're saying the resistance, you ask for the resistance, no resistance. And it's the same thing. I do the surrendering, I just allow myself to be free so that I can be of service to myself. Then through myself, then I can listen to my intuition that will guide me to something that is always supposed to be the way it's supposed to be. You know, because I actually think that the universe, the same way as you see it physically, when you're sitting at the beach and you're watching the waves and you're watching the tides and you're watching the sun and you're watching the clouds and everything, all of that is in alignment with one another and the cycle of life. And so, you know, it's the same thing for us humans, is that, you know, if we are able to sit still, drown out the noise so we can hear ourselves, we will be in tune more with ourselves and the oneness of each other, everything, and how everything plays an important part as in sync with one another. So, yeah, intuition is so vital. It is so vital to help you.
Oh, I agree. Thank you so much, guys, for always listening. I know we go on tangents, but no, really though. And again, we would love to hear feedback. Even if you guys have different ways to listen to your intuition, we'd love to hear that, incorporate those things as well for the rest of our viewers. It's all about exchange. So thank you, guys.
Yeah, it's all about exchange and sharing. So we'll let you know. We're just working out our time to do the broadcast, the live broadcast, where we want to have some of our viewers come in and be able to engage in the conversation and open discussion. And we'll probably choose a couple of topics, or maybe one at a time kind of thing. And we'll just freestyle it so that it can be really dynamic and really organic, the way we want it to be. And just really just real, a real space for everyone to share ideas and perspectives and things that will help us elevate each other.
Absolutely. That's going to be great. I'm excited. Can't wait to have the conversation with you guys.
All right, so we'll say bye for now, and we'll see you next topic, and let you all know when and what we're doing with the live broadcast, so you can join in.
All right, thanks. Bye, guys.
Bye.